You know what's crazy? Throughout my life, I have been constantly noticing so many gorgeous, amazing women go through the most harsh, difficult things in life simply because their own circle was pushing them into this. Your environment literally changes you without you even noticing this. You see, when it comes to change in your life, most people like to think that it only comes from our own willpower. That, if you want to change your life somehow, you are the one who has to grind for it, you are the one who has to work really hard in order to bring that change. And I do agree to that to a certain point. However, I also believe that there's an easier and faster way to bring some positive change into your life by simply reworking your environment and your inner circle. There's a saying that I really like that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend most of your time with. Okay? Think about that. Who are these 5 people that you spend most of your time with? Who are these 5 people who are literally influencing your life every day? Who are these people for you? Think both in real life and online. This is important because your environment isn't just the physical space that you're around, it's not just your home, it's actually everything that surrounds you daily. And it usually falls into 3 categories. So it's the people that you have around you, it's the space that you have around you, and then it's also the content that you consume. Okay, which I feel like is especially relevant in our modern day of age. So let's start with your physical space, your room, your home, or even just your desk. What does it look like right now? I want you to look at it right now and ask yourself, how does it look like? Is it messy? Is it cluttered with stuff? I want you to think about this because if your space is messy, it literally makes your brain messy as well. I know these have been said so many times before. You have probably heard this so many times before, but I want you to understand that this is not just a saying, this is actually something that is backed by psychology. When your environment is cluttered, your brain goes into overdrive just trying to process all of this chaos around you. When you clean up your space, you are also cleaning up your mind. You're giving yourself mental clarity, which is essential for you if you want to become a higher version of yourself. In my life, I had multiple cases when I lost track of my progress completely. And guess what was the first sign when things were out of control? Guess what was always the first sign for me when my mental health was declining? My room became messy. I stopped cleaning after myself. This was always the first thing that happened to me. Over time, I actually trained myself to recognize this sign, and I started to notice that if my space becomes a mess, if I stop cleaning after myself, that's like an instant call for myself that, Angelica, something is wrong. So these days, my main priority is to actually keep my place tidy, make my bed, do the laundry, do the dishes. And listen, I am not the type of person that actually likes to clean, okay? I have always been a very messy kid. I've never liked to clean. But as soon as I noticed how much impact this actually has over my life, this became an essential habit for me. Another thing that you need to think about is that you cannot grow in a space that constantly reminds you of the older version of yourself. I can assume that you are the kind of person that wants to be successful. You are probably the kind of person that actually has a lot of goals for yourself and wants to improve your life, right? I want you to think about the higher version of yourself right now. An amazing, gorgeous, successful woman. What kind of environment does this woman live in? Does she live in a mess? Does she likes to be in a messy environment, in a messy space? Right? What types of people does she invite in her space? How seriously does she take the state of her space around her? Because I can assume that this woman probably doesn't want to be in a dirty space. She probably doesn't want to be in a cluttered space. That's probably not something that she's interested in, right? Because no matter how much you change your lifestyle, no matter how many healthy habits are you getting, no matter how many self-development books will you read, all of this do not matter unless you change your environment. Because if you don't do that, then no matter what you do, your environment will always pull you back. Your environment will always remind you that you're still not there. Now let's also talk about the people. And this is a huge one, okay? So many of us stay stuck in life simply because we are surrounded by the wrong type of people. And this is something that I mentioned at the beginning. I've seen so many gorgeous girls living the life of their worst nightmares just because they keep inviting wrong people into their own environment, into their own circle. People who treat them badly, people who do not understand them, do not understand their passions. Have you ever felt weird? Have you ever felt like you don't fit in? Like nobody understands you? Have you ever felt like that? Because if you do, I want to let you know that the problem might not actually be in you. The problem can actually 100% be in these people who surround you. By the way, this is completely natural because our brains are actually wired for familiarity. Humans, we naturally resist everything that feels new or different. This is a survival mechanism that we have. People usually mock and make fun of things of people that they do not understand. That's exactly the reason why xenophobia exists. People are afraid of change, people are afraid of new things. So when you are trying to grow, when you are trying to start thinking bigger, change your lifestyle, making new good habits for yourself, you might notice that people around you are going to pull you back. They are going to make fun of you and they are going to act like you are just too much. And I want you to realize that if this has happened to you before or is happening right now, these people simply see you as a threat. You are simply a threat to these people now because they do not how to act. They do not know how to act in this situation. They don't know what to do with the type of person that you are. I could never fit into my circle. I have always been labeled as the weird one, and I've always felt that the problem is in me because all these people, like, they cannot be wrong. Like, so many people cannot be wrong. Like, there is probably a reason why they think that I am weird, probably because I am maybe weird and maybe I don't fit in. When I grew up a bit and when I started being in other circles of other people, I've actually noticed how much this is not true. And especially if there are certain characteristics about you that makes you different from other people, people will start picking up on you, people will start making fun of you and mocking you, but simply because they do not understand you. You are normal. It's just that these people around you cannot understand you because they live in a completely different world. Their reality is so different. One example that I had in my life was that when I was in high school, it became very, very cool at that time to party. People started throwing parties, people were inviting each other to parties, and I'm not talking about the type of like cozy parties, I mean like loud parties, with alcohol, with music, that type of stuff, like the teenage parties. And I have never been a fan of that type of environments. I have never been a fan of that type of parties. So I was actually never invited to these types of parties. And over time, this became something that I feel like people used to other me. This was something that people used as a reason to think that I'm weird. People actually started making up narratives about me, saying that, I'm probably just really boring. And they never made an effort to actually meet me, to actually, talk to me. And I was always labeled as like a boring person. And I feel like the main reason for that was simply that my interests were different. But they used that to talk about me behind my back and make all these narratives about me simply because our interests were different. And I want you to recognize it, that if in your life you have ever felt like you do not fit in, you probably just need to rework your circle. Later in my life, I started to talk more to people who are on the same level as me, who have the same type of goals as me, business owners, people who go to the gym, for example, who care about their health, people who are interested in wellness and productivity topics. Guess what? They never said that I'm boring. They never said that I am weird. It was actually completely different. People started asking me for advice. People started asking me questions about my own life and asking me how I did this or that. And I've never been labeled as weird since that. Like, these types of people never said that I am weird, never tried to other me, never tried to make up rumors about me. And I do 100% believe now that this is what happens when you pick the right kind of circle for yourself. And then there's also digital environment. Most people overlook it, but I feel like it's actually one of the most important ones from the whole list because we use things like social media every day now. Like, every single day you are watching videos, you're listening to music, listening to podcasts every single day. This all has a very strong impact. the type of media and the type of content that you're consuming is incredibly important. I want you to think about what kind of content are you feeding your mind every single day? What type of content are you watching? I used to be a very productive person. And I mean, I am quite productive right now, but there was a time where I was a literal machine. And at that time, most of the content that I was consuming was about productivity, motivation, wellness, like those type of topics were the type of topics that I surrounded myself with. And it helped me to stay on track because every single time when I may be taking a break to like watch a YouTube video, this is I'm watching the type of content that helps me to reinforce the type of lifestyle that I want to have. It helps me to reinforce my goals. And then trends shifted, times have changed. And I've noticed that suddenly on YouTube and other social media platforms as well, it became kind of cool to make fun of productivity people, productivity speakers. Like, people started commenting on a lot of productivity trends and wellness trends. And while I do think that, of course, this is completely normal and there's nothing wrong with that, I feel like I personally just shifted my attention too much from the things that have been working for me. So what happened is that I started watching more and more of different types of video essay channels and just reaction channels that were reacting to different wellness creators, different productivity creators, and were making fun of them. People were making fun of people who wake up early, for example. Like, why would you need to wake up at 5 a.m.? It doesn't change anything in your life. Why would you want to grind for this little business that you're having? Like, oh my god, everybody is doing something these days. Oh my god, everybody is a YouTuber these days. Oh my god, everybody have a side hustle these days. And people were making fun of that. People started making this out. And I was consuming a lot of this content because it was fun. What happened was that over time, I actually started noticing that I was doing my habits less and less, my healthy habits. The first thing that happened was that I stopped waking up early because I started hearing all these opinions that nothing changes if you wake up early, right? Like, nothing changes, it's not that important, why would you do that? I started thinking about that and actually started introducing this into my life. So I stopped waking up that early. I started waking up a lot later than I would usually do. And then over time, it created this domino effect that just changed everything for me, and not in a positive way, right? So I stopped being so consistent with my workouts because, now when I don't wake up early, sometimes it can be difficult to incorporate workouts in my day if it's busy already. I would stop really taking care of myself because, who cares? What actually happened at the end is that this whole thing resulted in me getting in one of the worst periods of my life, probably. One of the toughest periods that I had in my life. I got myself into the kind of environment that wasn't pushing me for my goals anymore. That was actually encouraging me being kind of lazy, not really caring about things that much because, who cares, whatever. I only started going back on track recently. Like, I've only started working on myself again just recently. And the first thing that I did was I changed the type of content that I was consuming. I stopped watching reaction channels. I stopped watching stupid, funny videos on YouTube that ate up all of my time and brains, to be honest. I started watching productivity YouTubers again, watching vlogs of people being productive. And slowly, I have noticed that it has been influencing me to get in a better space than what I was in. And this has been working for me so much. And that's why I say that you need to make sure that you are only watching the type of content that will actually help you to get to where you want to be in life. So here's what I want you to take from this. You become what surrounds you. If you want to change your life, you need to start small. This is going to be the easiest and fastest way for you to get to your goals if you just start small. Clean your space, curate your circle, and please be intentional with the type of content that you consume. Your environment every single day is either building you up or breaking you. And the good news is that you get to choose which one is it. Thank you so much for watching this video. This is actually my first video on this channel. And if you like my message, if you like this video, then I would be really happy if you could subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. See you in later videos. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye.